Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Adam Bergman's Moneymakers. Now, there's no denying we are definitely in a bear market. I'm not gonna lie to you and say that there's no blood on the streets. It's difficult, and this game is not for everybody. I'll be honest, there's absolutely a recession around the corner. There's around a 35 or 38% chance last time I checked the polls. There's a lot of things that are bad in the market. So what do you do when things are bad? In my personal opinion, and my own personal strategy is you get rid of the garbage and you hold your strongest conviction plays. You hold the plays that you believe are gonna get through the thick, the thin, and between a rock and a hard place, no matter what, it will find a path all the way up. Now that path is not straight up, and sometimes you have plateaus and sometimes you have dips. But at the end of the day, hopefully you're gonna go all the way to the moon. For me, one of those plays is absolutely Palantir. The ticker symbol is PLTR. And if you want to learn about Palantir, please give me the likes, the shares, and the subscribe so that we can reach more people out there that want to learn about Palantir. Currently, we have 394 subscribers. This channel is growing massively, and I'm waiting for that big 400. Today, I want to read you an article from Seeking Alpha. You see, what I do is I pay a stupid amount of money for Seeking Alpha, Barron's, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, and a bunch of other publications like that so that you, my loyal subscribers, do not have to pay for such publications. I'm gonna read you this article right now. It's a pro-Palantir article, and it reiterates a lot of the things that I've been saying and probably a lot of your own train of thoughts, and sometimes it's just nice to get positive reassurances because I could only do so much. Sometimes you want to hear from a bigger person or a wider range or a larger audience that think similar to you. Because I know sometimes you question yourself, as we all do because we're humans. This article came out today at 5:37 a.m. Palantir, their recovery will be swift. Summary, shares of Palantir has suffered a painful 65% loss from all-time highs notched last year. That's true, it's painful, it's not easy. The crash has been driven purely by sentiment turning against growth stocks, not Palantir's own fundamentals. 100% correct. It's not about Palantir, it's about sector sentiment. 100% growth stocks or growth sector, technology sector, has been absolutely decimated. Palantir is not immune to this. They're following the herd, but they will break off eventually. Palantir continues to grow revenue north of positive 40%. That means more than 40% year over year. They promised 30%. They got us over 40%. How can you be mad if they over-deliver by nearly 35% on top of the 30% that they promised? Driven by commercial growth, while CEO Alex Karp is also committing to sustaining a 30% growth over the next few years. There's a plan to 2025 or 2026, 30% year over year. However, it is widely assumed and widely understood that he is sandbagging. Alex Karp is a sandbagger. He is underestimating what Palantir will do. So it's better to state less and do more than overstate and do less. Does that make sense? Palantir has also made a giant stride in profitability, solving one of the key concerns investors had about the company at the time of its IPO. Palantir's 12x forward revenue multiple is hardly cheap, but still undervalues a company with so much future potential. At one point, directly after its IPO, Palantir was one of the hottest trades on Wall Street. It ran all the way up to $35. It hit a valuation of around $50 billion. Year to date alone, Palantir stock has shed 35%. That's 35% just this year. Don't forget the run up last year, or shall I say run down. We are getting absolutely decimated. As you can see, these are the charts for Palantir. Nothing looks good. It's like a roller coaster that never ends. It doesn't have a peak and just keeps dropping. But that's okay. We're going to have our time. While Palantir has been one of the biggest holes in my portfolio this year, mine too, my brother, I remain strongly bullish on the stock and am invested for the long term. I'm also strongly bullish and I am strongly invested for the long term. It's difficult to regard Palantir's venerable customer base, its best of breed series of both commercial and government products, and its visionary leadership and non-conclude that Palantir will continue to dominate enterprise software over the next few decades. I agree. Palantir is approximately a decade ahead of all their competition. They have the government sector on lock. They have the commercial sector that is growing massively. Now, due to the geopolitical turmoil right now that's happening in Europe, they're going to lock down much of Europe, much of the United States allies, and they're going to lock up not only government contracts, but they're going to lock up a lot of commercial contracts. Like I said, there's already an increase in spending. Germany increased their spending to 2% of GDP instead of 1.5% GDP. They increased to 100 billion euro in defense. Also, Spain says that they're going to increase from 1.5 GDP to 2% GDP. This is their contributions for NATO. And there's a lot of other countries that are going to be doing the same and already started doing the same. They're just not too public with it. There has been a lot of negatives around Palantir recently, but almost none of it comes specifically for the company. It's all about de-risking portfolios and expensive valuations in the face of rising interest rates, which I view to be short-term arguments and that don't in any way diminish the attractiveness of Palantir in the long run. This is a company that has claimed a 100+ billion TAM, total addressable market, with its main products each adding market opportunity and becoming behemoths in their own rights over time. I actually think a recession is not the worst thing for Palantir. People are just not realizing it, but the numbers will speak for themselves. Why? Palantir is famous for something called oncology or a digital twin or a metaverse, whatever you want to call it. What does that do? This famously lowers your inefficiency, which by default increases your productivity. So it makes you less ineffective, which therefore makes you much more effective. This is exactly what you need with supply chains, bottlenecking, things not coming in. Where do you send? How do you send? How do you make things mesh together? This is all things that you need with Palantir. These are their 3 TAM expansions. They have the Gotham, they have the Foundry, and now they have the Apollo. As you can see, Gotham has been on their way for quite a long time because they're in business for 19 years. They're only public for 2 years, but they're in business for 19 years. 19 years. So they have a lot of experience. Foundry is their newest product, their commercial product, and you can see all of these rings. Their government contracts, their Gotham, reached almost full capacity, but Foundry is just starting and they're not going to reach full capacity until around 2025. And Apollo, which they're going to have an exhibition or a demo in 2 days from now, which I'm probably going to be airing live at this channel, is just starting and is going to be able to expand all the way to 2030. After Apollo, I'm sure they're going to introduce another product. They're always growing. Big data is a massive discipline that can be applied in nearly limitless ways. Palantir isn't a software company that serves only one or a limited set of use cases. Data and inferences that can be made from data are prevalent in just about everything, which explains why Palantir is such a powerful tool for both public and private sector clients. Growth at scale. Despite being a $2 billion annual revenue scale, Palantir continues to deliver 30 to 40% year-over-year revenue growth, and its long-term outlook calls for the company to be able to sustain growth rates in excess of 30% year-over-year through 2025. Very few companies can say the same. Stepping up to go-to-market momentum, Palantir is chasing growth across a wide variety of channels. The company has stepped up its sales hiring this year. That's right. They had at one point 25 or 6 or something like this. Now they have nearly 100 sales force. If you want to compare that to Salesforce, I believe Salesforce has, I want to say 1,500 or 1,800 staff that's doing sales. I forgot the exact numbers. It's definitely a huge difference, and Palantir is able to do this with such a limited amount of staff. I also want to remind you that Palantir can do more with less. First, it took months to set people up. Now, then it took weeks to set people up. Now, in days, they can set people up, but they never had to hire more staff in order to install the platforms of Palantir. 1 foot in the public sector and 1 foot in the private sector. Palantir made its name on being a large federal government contractor, but its products are just as compelling in an enterprise segment that is growing ever more obsessed with the value of big data. Palantir did the reverse. Its momentum will Fortune 100 companies and continuing to grow, and the customer ads are continuing to trend at an impressive pace. They had a proof of concept that's now proof of action through the government. What better demo that you could do than working with the government? And they're still growing. It's really amazing. Free cash flow. Though not yet profitable from GAAP standpoint, Palantir continues to excel internally expectations for free cash flow, which means that the business is self-financing, a departure from many other rapid growth software companies that continue to need to raise capital to finance their losses. Quite the contrary. Actually, Palantir funded and invested into over 8 dozen different SPACs. Palantir actually has positive free cash flow. I believe their free cash flow was over $400 million. They make a lot of money. Palantir is an absolute beast. And they don't need to borrow money. Plus, they have a lot of gold in reserve. They bought like $51 million in gold, and that is up. If one of their SPACs hits, we good. We in the money. They invested a lot of money in these SPACs. Growth has sustained thanks to commercial progress. Palantir's original claim to fame and the reason it attained a hush-hush reputation in Silicon Valley is that it was the software that helped the U.S. government track down Osama bin Laden. While Palantir made its reputation as a government contractor, and while government revenue and massive federal deals continue to forge the lion's share of Palantir's business, the company has been able to sustain its rapid growth rates primarily by boosting its commercial presence. And then they go over the slides. I've showed you these slides before, so I don't really want to go over it and make it, make this boring. But all you can see right here is that they grew U.S. commercial momentum by 371%. They grew their clients in the U.S. by 371%. Guys, I don't want to read you anymore, but if you can see what this guy is saying, you can see his article. It sounds very similar to a lot of things that I say on this channel. No, I'm not an analyst. I'm just an entertainer and educator at best. Some people would say I have no idea what I'm talking about, and that's okay because I make my own decision and I stand on my own 2 feet. But you could see that a lot of things that I'm saying are similar to what this guy is saying. So if I could make my own deductions, and this gentleman can make his own deductions, well, then you can make your own deductions. And if in your gut you're saying that Palantir really is the next big thing, Palantir is the next Tesla, Palantir is signing up so many contracts. And by the way, we've signed up like 4 contracts in the last 2 weeks. We are signing up contracts, whether it's new ones or extensions in the government. Guys, don't worry about what's happening. Take the opportunity to DCA the dip. I'm literally buying this stock for my son's future. My son is 7 months old, and I'm literally opening up an account for my son that I'm not gonna touch until he's 21 years old because I live in New York City. And I'm gonna invest in Palantir, or one of the companies I invested in Palantir. It's gonna be the lion's share. I truly do believe in this company. I do truly believe that it's gonna make me 8 figures. Palantir is an absolute beast. Yes, a lot of people are like, oh, but the price is going down. That's okay, there's sentiment. And it takes a very long time to change sentiment around. It's not that easy and it doesn't happen overnight. The thing is, we're gonna have to keep pounding until they see what we could do and they can no longer ignore us. If you've been following my channel, I greatly appreciate it. And if you have, you've been connected the trail to see why I believe Palantir is such an amazing bullish move. Now, I could be right and I could be wrong. Who knows? Time makes us truthful. Time is the great indicator for all of us. Thank you very much. Please give me the likes, the shares, and subscribe. And thank you so much for getting me to nearly 400 subscribers. We are zooming to that monetization of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of viewing time. I greatly appreciate you. I truly couldn't do it without you. I love you, especially all the people in the back. Have a great day.